There we go. Yeah, electric door opening is possible with the key fob. You can also pull it here. Sometimes it opens, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, there is always something with these doors, but that's not BMW specific. It's also with other manufacturers. I also like to slam them. But here it's hardly possible because they're so heavy. There's so much resistance from the wind. And then you also have this magic soft close. Let me show it to you again here. There we go. Ta-da. Yeah. And then, you grab in here, and then there's also some feedback here at the back part. Inside of the doors then, everything is wrapped tightly. Bowers & Wilkins sound system, new sound system, 36 speakers, and I'll also test it for you today. These ones here still move for the seats. That's actually pretty cool. And also nice build quality here. This lower part here, this will still be updated. It's a pre-production model, so this lower part will look like this upper part here soon. Then we have a new steering wheel carry over from the Neue Klasse iX3, i3, with the difference is that the white one is from Animal, where it's not from Animals in the iX3 or the i3. Just for reasons of tradition, there's no technological or logical reasons for that, because the material feels completely identical, honestly. And then you can get a sports steering wheel. The sports steering wheel in black also is available animal-free, like in the iX3 or i3. And then you get an M Sport steering wheel with spokes in the lower part. And then these integrated buttons right here, which only appear when you can actually really use them. Seats, you can also get the Vigansa animal-free seats. These are the animal skin seats. The only sad thing is that the Vigansa is not available with seat cooling. That is only available for this seat. For the other one, they probably forgot it, basically. Then let's get inside. And then you can move the seat backward right here. And then with one A9 6x2, there is still some headroom left, but you see, that this platform also supports a battery in the lower part. You don't sit too low, actually, but it still works. And beautifully done here that we also have the microfiber covering here from the inside, and also then here, for example, from the from the sun blinds and so on. Cannot extend it right here. And the steering wheel goes up and down electric, and also in and out electric. We have a control then right here, left side next to the steering wheel. And in the lower part, the manual opener here, they actually increased the size for that you can easily see it where you could, just in case, open the door manually. And this is the completely new cockpit of the BMW 7 Series. Carry over from the, oh, now the voice assistant is listening to me because I said BMW. So carry over from the BMW iX3 and the i3, but with some special features, let's take it that way. You've seen the new steering wheel. And yeah, it is splitting opinions in the form, but I have to say the grab in here for the thumbs, this is extremely good to control. I would probably maybe not go for this specific one, but in this case I would go for the animal-free solution, then the sports steering, and in the iX3 and the i3 I would pick the M Sport steering, which has like the spokes in this part here, in the lower part, so you can play around with that a little bit in the configurator. You also have the same infotainment cutout in here. It's a unique cutout. Very interesting, that it also fits in with the rest of the design of the interior. And special to the 7 Series is this passenger display, which is really a layer behind that the driver is not tempted to look at that actually. And it goes really a little bit in there design-wise. It's standard also for the 7 Series. And the question is, some use the passenger display, some not, but it's also not that much distracting. It might look a little bit weird right there. What do you think about that? And also integrate this Panoramic Vision. This, I think, a cool idea, because there is still a head-up display. And you can use the head-up display, but you actually wouldn't have to, because the idea here behind was that you move the infotainment system closer to the driver. So although we have sadly lost the physical dials, we can still easier control the climate unit then here, when we move from the steering wheel to the climate buttons. At the same time, move the instruments further away, that they are more or less in long focus in comparing to the road. And I think that's a great idea. You can very well see the speed and so on. You don't have to put individual elements. If you say, yeah, that's annoying, just leave it black and have only the speed. That is all possible, actually. And I think this split is better than having everything in the same level, where you always have to have a short focus when looking here, and maybe the steering wheel is blocking the instruments and so on. So although you have to get used to this new interior layout, I think it is actually a good idea, because it is also form follows function. Not everything was necessary, yes, but main part of that is really form follows function, and that's, I think, a good thing. Here we have this panoramic roof. They also have these illuminated lines in there. You cannot open it. It's now also standard. The only thing is that you can close this shade. Of course, it will still get hotter in comparison to when you have just a fixed roof. And that is interesting here. Look at this new element here. Oh, that looks fancy, right?
Looks like this here.
About that. Yeah, it looks like this. You know, it almost looks like it's not a material, but as it would be like a screen. You know, that is interesting. Always new things to discover, definitely, right? The seat itself, by the way, is very plush and comfortable. So they also have like a high seating depth to it. That's, of course, you know, for this luxury segment, pretty nice. And one difference, of course, to the recently published Mercedes S-Class facelift is if you want to go animal-free, here it's still the Vigansa, but not with ventilation option. And in the S-Class, they use a fabric option because they used it in the very first Mercedes S-Class, the 116. So if you want to go animal-free with the S-Class, it's the fabric option. And yeah, we're soon going to test that out for you and tell you about the differences. But clear difference is that on the inside, BMW has, let's say, the more progressive, futuristic interior. Now the voice assistant is once again responding. And the S-Class is, let's say, a little bit more drawn back, but both go for screens. So screens all over the place, basically. Seating comfort-wise, I would say that the seats here in the 7 Series are a little bit more comfortable in the S-Class, but I have yet to test then the fabric seats in the S-Class, of course. There will be more changes upcoming for the rear as well. And then here in the front, you can get both. This is for Apple devices, that you have this magnet holder. The cooling, they say, is supposed to be in this very tiny ring around that. That's interesting. But you can still get, let's say, like the Android setup with a classic inductive charging pad, because it wouldn't work otherwise. And then cup holders are two-way adaptive here in the front. Gotta say that the old cup holder solution was to me more beautiful though. And then here you have still a manual jog for the volume. This is the gear selector here, and also soft for the... That could actually be softer for your elbows, honestly, but still okay. Split opening with some space underneath and 2 USB-C chargers. And the new Bowers & Wilkins sound system here, different stages you can pick basically. And we've been testing it here now a little bit, and it has a great in-depth sound, great surround sound indeed. And I mean, yeah, 63 speakers. So it also has this 4D sound that you have like vibration in the seat if you like it. I'm not the biggest fan of it. So it's a really great, you know, intense sound. We gotta say though that recently we tested the Burmester sound system in the Porsche Cayenne and also in the recent iterations in the Mercedes vehicles. And that one is even one level above that. So, and I also had the feeling that the Bowers & Wilkins in the Volvos somehow had maybe a better integration. I'm not sure if it's just a subjective feeling and so on. And we will test it once again in the next Volvo reviews as well, and then compare it to that. But at this moment, I mean, this is also like a new upgrade, but the Burmester sound system for me would be even above that. And here, one more time from the cockpit or driver's POV here with the steering wheel. Once again, very good grip here to put it in, even if the design is up for discussion. Then the panoramic vision, you can see from left to right, and the screen, easy to handle that one. Car settings here on the left side. Lower part is then with the climate unit, as I said. Would wish for physical dials there. Then you have a base home menu there like this, and then you can also have this home menu. And here you can select the driving modes. And what's actually very cool is that now you can configure your own personal driving mode. Oh, with doggo background screen, for example. And also the driving experience here that you can have, for example, let's say the like the chassis on comfort, like the suspension, but the steering on sport resistance. So this is now possible. And the CarPlay integration looks like this. So also using all the screen. And here on the left side, this will be a hotkey menu for all the car functions. Also, for example, that you can open these doors individually. And this will also be then here when you are in driving, that here you can deactivate the EU speed chime law thing. One thing, by the way, that is quite cool with the electric doors, that you can just close the door with pressing the brake pedal. This is of course then a very comfortable function. And now it's time for the rear seats. And the rear seats also plush and comfortable. Headroom, there's still headroom left because the roof there is rolled in the front. And legroom as I would be driving. This is then the standard legroom behind the driver's seat for a tall person. And then interesting here, you have these window controls and the blinds. And when you lower the window, then the blind also comes down. And by the way, dual glazing here, also for the rear windows, very important. But now I was thinking, like in the Mercedes S-Class, when I put the window up, I can just use the button to put the blind up again. But that doesn't work. You have to go in this small screen and then press on the window to raise the electric blind again. And I think it's just an easier solution when it's also combined with pressing here, because lowering down on the button is possible. But wait a minute, that's interesting. So you also, when you press the button slightly, the window directly goes down a little bit. It seems like, yeah, the window goes down a little bit then. That's interesting. Yeah, I like the function more in the S-Class, you know, where you can use the window lever really to fine-tune shade first and then the window actually, because now end up controlling everything again from this screen area there. There's also a rear blind here, of course, also electric. I can also hit open all or close all. That would also be possible. However, in comparison to the S-Class, here once again, I think the seat ergonomics are better. So it's just more comfortable to sit here in the rear in comparison to the S-Class. Then the middle console, slide down this one. Here in the front, you open the cup holders, 4-dot design, pretty cool. And then here, open this one for 2 USB-C chargers. Everything also covered from the inside. Slide down this back again. And very funny that you can here remove this first wrap. There we go, and then you can also access the ski hatch to the trunk right there. And of course, more executive functions to come, because let's move back in this position. So first of all, they have updated the theater screen. And here once again in this side screen, there we go, theater screen. So then, there we go. So this is how it folds down, and it has a new software. Also it has 2 years of internet connection inbuilt, and that means you can from here then access everything, also like YouTube and so on. So far it was always like restricted to the Fire Stick actually, and now you can also just activate then YouTube here in the rear. So that is also possible then. So yeah, that's actually quite cool. So that might be a good thing also for the kids in the rear, and that you don't look down to your devices, maybe get sick. Here I think it's actually good to look up. However, sometimes depending on if the seats are more in the rear, then the screen can go that much forward, and then it's also relatively close to you, gotta say that. Then I can also put it away again. And there was more in the rear. So there we go. And then it is gone. And this one is also equipped with the executive rear package. You see it here that the seat is really drawn back in the lower part here, and this is also in the calf rest. And once again, we have to search for that in that menu, and that also shows like, why don't I have like a separate button for that? So seats, and now I press this button. There we go. And I'm already preparing to take off my shoes. High floor mat, that's of course always very cool to see. They feel really nice. There we go. And the lower part is going further. And then there's a very interesting fact, by the way, that in the S-Class, the normal, there's short wheelbase S-Class, long wheelbase, which is standard in the US. And then the Maybach, which, listen and repeat, Maybach, the German. That was an even longer wheelbase. And even in the Maybach version, I cannot fully stretch my legs with 189 6x2. There's like this bit missing, because the seat here in the 7 Series goes a little bit more forward. And here I can actually completely stretch my legs. This is very interesting, right? So they have found a mechanism that it really goes very, very far forward. So yeah, this is something very special indeed. Look at that, you know, this calf rest here, you know, like it's super wide. Then there's just a small gap then here for my feet, and I can really fully stretch my feet in here. Yeah, that's something, right? Oh, by the way, if you've seen this smartphone case here. Before only Mercedes did that. Now BMW started with this stuff already. That our smartphones are locked in, because I mean, from these secret car shootings, there are always leaks, and in the least parts, these are the creators. Usually the leaks are from somewhere else, but not the creators, because it is in our interest to keep everything, everyone plays by the same rules. And to like a agreed embargo, everyone is allowed to go online to have like fair competition for everyone. That's totally cool with us. But now, of course, when there are leaks from other places, we also have to comply to certain, restrictions and so on. And then these smartphones are hidden in these cases that we cannot take photos and directly put them online, which I would never do anyways. Yeah, but that's the same thing. New rules, and that's why you also see this strange stuff here flying around in the car.
Swim with that.
Yeah. It looks like you can also go swimming with that one, right? So yeah, interesting times indeed. And soon AI robots will probably take over my job. Yeah, hopefully not. If you stay true to Autogefühl and stay subscribed and keep supporting us, then we will not be replaced by AI robots. Hopefully. This is super comfortable here. So yeah, this is, I think, for me, the dream setup here for the executive seating here. I can't remember any other executive sedan that is so comfortable here in the rear. I really gotta say that. And also with these special cushions, indeed. They are, by the way, also from microfiber, because it is actually the more pleasant material to the pale skin. I've got to say that. So yeah, this is very well done, very well executed in the executive spec here. By the way, here, interesting mechanism for the ISOFIX. You can fold this up, then you have the access to the ISOFIX anchors, and then you could pull this again, and then it's going backwards and pulled tightly again. Yeah, interesting. Haven't seen that so far here. Now to the trunk or the boot. So the trolley here fits in easily, also vertically. So it's actually not that flat. And the width here is between the wheel arches about 36 inches, 90 centimeters wider than here. And then the standard length, we are here at 1 meter 16 or 46 inches. And the height is at 22 inches or 55 centimeters. And you can see here, this is then that small ski hatch where you can also load things through. And this is the M Sport steering wheel, which has the spokes here on this part. We also know it from the iX3. This is the steering wheel which, let's say, looks a little bit more normal than the other ones that have the vertical spokes.